Well, if you've been playing EVE as long as I have, then you have a ton of little tips and tricks on how to fly your favorite ships better. And in this video, we're going to be talking about all things lasers. Yes, how to burn your enemies, how to make them stop moving because they are no longer there. So if you want the best EVE guides, you came to the right place. Ladies and gentlemen, Loru here, digital advertiser, content creator, and laser enjoyer for the better part of 10 years now. Lasers, chat, are one of the most fun weapons to fly in Neut, and they're very specific. How to fly them is different than really any other of the various ammo types. We do have a video on railguns. We will be having a video on drones and each damage type in Neut, and check out our masterclass for EVE Online, max player masterclass for all of those guides. Lasers consume a significant amount of cap relative to other kinds of things. So one of the best ways you can help to have your lasers not stop your ship from losing all of its capacitor is, first, most of the ships you're going to see us fly are going to have some kind of cap battery, especially if it's PvE. One of my biggest tips for you that we just learned literally a couple months ago is the capacitor control circuit in the rigs plus a cap battery is going to give you more capacitor than other kinds of rigs. Let me show you. Okay, so if we go to our modules and we go to remaining resources, we're only going to go to rigs. We like to do this live so you can see how to do this as well if you're a newer player, okay? Look at this number right here. You can see this number depletes in 3 minutes, okay? We're going to remove this capacitor control circuit too. Obviously, it goes down to 2 minutes. Let's come down to the engineering rigs. Now, for a long time, I never used capacitor control circuits. Instead, I would use semiconductor memory cells. Why? Because it increases the ship's capacitor capacity. For the longest time, I would do cap battery plus semiconductor memory cell. You can see we're at 318. Now, depending on which type of space you're going into, this is correct versus other things. Understand this about capacitor. The more you have, the more capacity you have, the more regenerates, roughly speaking. There's a rule of 1/3 with capacitor that when you reach the final third of your cap, it's going to recharge very quickly. So if that 1/3 is like more, then it's going to recharge a little bit faster. I'm trying to gloss over this very quickly because it's a lot to be said about this. So what I'm trying to show you is most fits I was using this for the Crimson Harvest. I started using a different kind of module. Instead of using a semiconductor, same rule for shields is actually correct. At the final 30% of the shield, it recharges faster. Exactly correct. Good job. I started using the capacitor control circuit instead. So we're going to slap this in and look, we're at 302. But for certain events, you want the recharge rate instead. Here's what I kind of ideated with the stream live. When you go after sites that have a lot of heavy Neut pressure, you want to get back your capacitor faster. So this module becomes better than a maximum amount of cap. So there's some subtlety here, and here's kind of what I'd like to tell you. Recharge rate is going to be better than total capacitor if there are Neuts present. Okay, this is your sleeper sites, this is your Crimson Harvest sites, and yes, the upcoming Winter Nexus sites as well. So if there's Neuts, I would like you to pick recharge rate. If there's not Neuts, you can definitely go for total capacitor. But I gotta tell you, I can feel the difference that these modules make for my ship. So even though the capacitor control circuit is technically less cap time, 3 minutes and 2 seconds, says the in-game cap tool, I'm still using it more than the semiconductor memory cell because really, an extra 16 seconds, who cares? I'd rather recharge faster overall. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to y'all. So a lot of heavy capacitor use from these lasers. Consider using a cap battery plus the correct rigs, depending on what's happening. If you want this fit, this is our Crimson Harvest fit. It's over in our Navy Destroyer video. Let's talk about skills. Skills are one of those things that we have to just go over, especially for newer players. You're going to go to the engineering section. You're going to make sure that your capacitor management is set to 5 if you're a laser enjoyer, okay? This is a ship agnostic skill and is considered one of the magic 14 that is going to be one of the best 14 skills you can train up because no matter the ship you train, no matter the ship you fly, those 14 skills are live. So having 25% more capacitor on every single ship is going to be huge, and it's going to be necessary especially when you're using laser-focused ships. Another thing people gloss over, definitely go to the rigging section and come on down to the energy weapon rigging skill. This is going to make it much easier for you to fit those energy weapons. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is not a capacitor section, but this is something that's going to help you. So let's say you're flying a ship. We didn't because we couldn't fit it in the Crimson Harvest. And you have an energy-focused rig. It's going to make it harder to fit the various things on your ship. It's going to make it more difficult for you to fit all the modules you want. So definitely get it to 4 and at least to 3 as soon as possible. Okay, I recommend you get all your rigging skills to at least 3 as soon as possible, because it really does help you to fit all kinds of goodies. Okay, so, and this is a good point coming from Pi Gamer. It's one of the reasons that we did this live. Cat batteries also, they don't just give you, hey, give me increased capacitor storage. They also provide defense against neuts. So if there's a site that has neuts, you don't just get, hey, give me more capacitor, give me 130. You also get a resistance bonus. The neuts with this battery will be 22% less effective. Really good point coming here from the chat. Excellent job, Pi Gamer. Pi Gamer, I'm going to gift you a sub. That was really cool. You don't have a sub on my Twitch. You can keep this in the editor. I'm going to gift you a sub out of my own money. Thank you, Pi Gamer, for the excellent point. Well done. You've improved our video. You get some pancakes over on twitch.tv/07 to you, Mr. Pi Gamer. Excellent. So let's talk about the lasers themselves. We've talked enough about skills and all that. You can swap ammo instantly. I'm going to undock so I can show you what this looks like. Other weapons have a reload speed, have a swapping speed. Missiles, and if you want to swap damage types, it takes some time. Railguns, if you want to swap blah, 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 it takes some time. It takes a couple seconds, in some cases 30 seconds to get it done. Not so with lasers. With lasers, you have an instant swap. This is a very big deal comparatively to other weapons. So this is important because our conflag ammo, as you can see, let me make sure I'm in the right scene here, perfect, goes out to 11K and hits optimally within 56. Well, let's say they get further away. Well, I can just swap to Scorch. Boom, that fast. With a click of a button, I can now shoot out to 21K and keep it going. So this is really important because especially if you're a newer player, you're going to be using the Navy lasers a lot. And let's talk about ammo for just a sec while we're talking about this. Use your quick swap to be able to decide what you're going to be shooting and how you're going to be shooting. So the conflag ammo is going to be your close-up ammo, as you, if I can show this. Close-up, highest damage. Scorch is going to be not as good damage, not even close, but is farther range, and you can hit stuff further away. The Navy ammo, chat, the Navy ammo is going to have the best tracking. It's going to be able to hit those frigates very easily. And y'all, this is actually one of the things that blew my mind the first time that I started using Navy ammo. You'll see the tracking here, okay? Tracking your 381 versus if I come up to, let's go to conflag, you see the tracking is 267. So it doesn't sound like it's that big of a deal, but if you're a newer player, that's going to help you a ton to be able to hit smaller ships. Now, you have to make sure you understand this thinking. Tracking speed is going to be dependent on what kind of ship you're flying and the kind of ship you're facing. If you're flying a frigate and you're killing frigates, you don't really have to worry about tracking speed. Not really, because the frigate tracking guns are very high. If you're flying a cruiser, hitting frigates, well, your tracking speed of the cruiser is going to be a bit low. You might want to fit some Navy ammo to be able to hit those things. This is a really good point. Everybody has to make sure they have some Navy ammo in their cargo if you're new, just in case there's some frigates, and call it a day. So some other interesting things about lasers is the kind of damage that these do. You can see we have blood gamma, blood infrared. Let's come down here. Blood microwave. What is the deal with all of these different ammos? Let me show you, audience. Okay. First of all, you have some differences between the various factions and how much they cost. It's going to primarily be, especially with Navy ammo, it's going to primarily be a cost thing. So look at the Santra Microwave S. Very similar to the other Navy ammos, but is 3,000 ISK, not 3 million, 3,000 ISK, versus the Imperial Navy Microwave S is 400,000. Get this one. Okay, don't get the expensive one. Get this one instead. So if all of a sudden the cost of your laser ship goes up a bunch, it might be because your lasers are trending up in price for whatever the heck reason is going on. So there is some small, minute damage differences. You can see the true Sancha is going to do 0.4 HP EM damage and 0.2 thermal damage more. I'll let you be the judge of which one to use and how to do that. If you ever want to know which one to pick up, here's how to do it. Let's say you open up, I want to use small focused pulse lasers. You come down to used with, you go to your ammo, and I'm going to right click. Let's say I right click conflag. I'm going to compare that compare tool. And if yours looks like this, it's because the new compare tool is vertical and I hate it. You can click this 3 dots in the top and go to horizontal. How many of you did not know this? How many of you did not know this? Type 1 in chat. If you did not know, you can go back to the old compare tool. I love the old compare tool. I hate the new compare tool. Do it like that. Enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so you also see the various differences here. You can also go to this filter active and go to only show if different values. Big deal. Makes it way easier for you to find the other stuff that this is different and way easier to help you with the various things. So use the compare tool to be able to see filter by, if I can find estimated price, to see what is cheapest. And then you can also filter by the other stats to see which lasers you should pick. In short, I would take conflag and scorch, and I would go get the cheapest Navy ammo you can. Okay, that is what I would do with those ammos. So instant swap, and of course, take the Navy ammo for better tracking. Now there's 2 kinds of lasers when you get to Tech 2s. There's pulse lasers, and then there's beam lasers. Let's talk about the difference, and let's talk about the use cases that these have. So if we filter down to our high slots, let me come down here to our stuff here. We can keep these right like this. So we've got our pulse lasers are going to be more close, and beam lasers are going to be more far. It's mostly about the range, ladies and gentlemen. Mostly about the range, and even without any ammo inside of this, and don't worry about our CPU, we're not trying to make this fit. We're trying to show what's possible, okay? So yes, Shadowlack, exactly. You know, now you can use it again. Well freaking done. You can see here on this side are the pulse lasers. The base range of these Tech 2 lasers are 17 to 12. The base range of this is 29 to 25. So the tracking, 139, the tracking, 381. This is a general rule of Eve. The stuff that is focused on closer to you is going to have better tracking. The stuff that's focused on farther from you is going to have worse tracking. You can hit them further out, but it's going to be harder to hit them. Okay, so now which is the use case for the various things? I can tell you that especially for newer players, the shorter range ones are going to be something you want to prioritize. The pulse lasers are going to be the thing you want to go into first as far as Tech 2 ammo goes, because it's going to do more damage. More damage is more damage. Sniper fits are harder to use. Range nano fits are more difficult to use in PvP, all that. Focus on the closer range pulse laser first, from a skilling up standpoint, before you go into beam lasers, in my opinion. Of course, this is dependent on what activity you want to use. Do what you want. I'm not your dad. Okay, so you can get this by getting the small pulse laser specialization skill. This will also unlock Scorch and Conflag ammo, which is the preferred ammo for the various people. So let's talk about the different gun types. You're going to see a lot of these like named guns. What's the difference here? Which one should you pick? Well, chat, it's all about how much CPU they use and how difficult it is to fit them and how much you can get done with it. So let me get rid of a bunch of these. I'm going to very quickly get rid of a lot of these at once. Okay, we're just going to remove 7 of those. Here's a Tech 2 small focused pulse laser. Let's check out the Gatling pulse laser. Let's compare this. Let's get rid of all of these Gatling pulse lasers. By the way, you can remove multiple things on the compare tool by shift left clicking remove. Keep the shift button held. It will let you remove multiple things at once in this new compare tool. I am press and holding shift, left clicking, still holding shift, right click, still holding shift, left click remove. It removes multiple things. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I just changed many of your Eve lives. So you can see we have this filter by estimated price. The small focused pulse laser, let me show this as well, is right here. And it is the most expensive one. It has crappy tracking, but look at that damage multiplier, baby. Okay, look at that damage multiplier. The accuracy fall off is kind of meh. And what's the main thing to focus on? There's a lot of stats going on right now. Okay? A lot of stats. How much money? How much damage? Okay, you're welcome, Yagnor, you're welcome. So typically, if you look at this list right here, see how this list minus the polarized, avoid that if you're new. Polarized is the most damage. but it removes all of your tank. You become a glass cannon. Anything polarized, not just lasers, anything polarized, it removes your tank. Be very careful, okay? So see how this list, small focused dual light Gatling, is very similar to how this looks? That's on purpose. This list is going to typically go from harder to fit to easier to fit, okay? So if we look at this, we can see let me find CPU. See how this is 16 CPU to use, small focused. See how dual light pulse is 8 and Gatling pulse is 4. The names of these are a bit confusing, but the main way that I like to fit really any gun in EVE Online is answer the question, how much tank do you want? If you want more damage, you fit the bigger guns. You can see we have the small pulse lasers, a small focused on this, which is the most damage, okay? Most damage, but the hardest to fit. Why? This is a Crimson Harvest fit. We are DPS racing other Navy frigates on grid. I want to be able to conflag things down unheated for 400 DPS. If I wanted to get more tank on this ship, I would use lesser guns like the dual light pulse laser that is half as much to fit. This adds up when you have a bunch of guns, when we have 6 guns to fit. So this is my that's how to find the right ones. What I'll tell you is, if your objective is damage, start with the biggest damaging one. If your objective is tank, consider teching down your various guns into the thing that is easier to fit. How to find the ones that are tech down, if I scroll down this, how this is organized by default is this is typically the most damage and is hard to fit. And as I go up the list, they become easier to fit. Does that make sense? Easier to fit the more up the list we go, and we can see these become tech 1s. Okay, so consider using those. I hope that makes sense. Chat, does that make sense? Type 1 in chat if it makes sense. Let me know if that makes it easier for you to know which lasers to use. So in order to increase some of the damage that you have, you can use specialized modules to make sure that you can hit things better and hit them harder. So as you can see on this fit, we have 2 modules here that are helping with that. First is a heatsink. Heat sinks are specialized to lasers. They help you to deal more damage and fire them more rapidly. The and fire more rapidly is actually the thing that is the biggest DPS increase here. Shooting more often will help you to do more damage, way more than a damage multiplier does. Trust me on this, the math is in. That said, remember how we started this video. These take more capacitor to shoot. So why do you think I only have 1 heatsink on this and not more? Because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to eat into my capacitor already. I might as well just put some tank on there so I have a more well-rounded ship. We're going to see a lot of laser fits be a bit more tanky than other ships because they don't necessarily want 3 heatsinks, because that rate of fire is going to really burst down their capacitor and make the ship very glass cannon. Like, I want to see more pop emos in chat. It's my favorite emote. Thank you very much. Show me different ones. I want the VOD viewers to see. Edler, you can zoom in on chat when the pop Nemo spam comes in. Let's see about it. So heat sinks are how you do that. Careful buying these bigger heat sinks. Some of these are very expensive. We can once again use the compare tool to see which ones are more cost effective. All these officer ones, we're just going to get rid of these. These are billions and billions of ISK, not worth getting. And we also want to get rid of the Tech 1 heatsink. Almost never use this. Instead, if you're a new player, use the extruded compact heatsink. Better damage modifier, better rate of fire bonus for less ISK than a Tech 1. The Tech 1s are actually not good to use in your ship literally ever. Why are the Tech 1s more expensive? Because they're used in industry to build more things. That said, it doesn't matter. If you are trying to fly this, consider using the compact heatsink. See how the compare tool helps you to optimize your fit by just being able to look at the data like it's an Excel sheet and go, you know what? I do want to use that. Like this basic one is 16 million, but it's less rate of fire. 3% is a lot than the Tech 2. So why would you ever use this? It's 16 million compared to 1.2 million. Be gone with you. Never use that puppy. Thank you kindly. So a pretty common thing if you want to tech up your heat sinks is going to be going for, you don't even want to use this trebuchet heatsink because it is the only reason, let me show you this. The only reason to use this trebuchet heatsink is because it's easier to fit. it does the same rate of fire, same damage modifier. But if you're really struggling to like, I can't really fit one heatsink, I'd like to, it is almost half the CPU of the Tech 2. That is something we learned from the compare tool. That's how to use heatsinks to increase your damage. Check out how much this is. If I have conflag in here and I have 400 DPS with a single heatsink, if I turn this off, we lose 80 DPS. That's a lot. With one module, you pump up your damage by 80 DPS. That's pretty sick, pretty great, very excellent. So thank you, Calrune07. Thank you for that, my friend. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The second module we have in here is a tracking computer. Tracking computer. Now, there's a couple of these. Turrets, non-missiles are turrets. Missiles are launchers. Anything else is a turret. So when you read this kind of stuff, it's important to understand the minutia. This tracking computer is going to do two things for us. First, we can load it up. First thing is without a script, it just gives you a global bonus of fall off, optimal tracking. This means if something's far away from you, it's easier to hit. Your optimal range means you can hit things further away, and tracking speed means you can track everything better. You can run, notice how there's these little boxes, just like in our guns. This means you can run something in there. That means you can put a script in there. Right click, show info, used with, here's these scripts. Tracking speed scripts take off every other bonus, but increase our tracking speed. Look right here, 24% with the script, take it out. Tracking speed is only 12%. So you get double the tracking speed bonus at a trade-off of losing the rest of this. We typically run around with just tracking speed in the Crimson Harvest stuff because remember in the Crimson Harvest, there's all those relentless ventures that get really close to you and they move decently quick. We want to be able to track them. Look at the difference that this has. We turn this off, we go down to 215, we turn this on, and we go up to 267. That is a decent amount. That is a lot more tracking and is the difference because remember, tracking with these lasers, you can miss, then you can glancing blow is like not very big damage, then you can hit, then you can, is it crushing? Then it's smashing, then it's penetrating. So think of these as crits, right? Tracking, I come from other MMOs where hit chance was a big deal in World of Warcraft and I think in Guild Wars 1. I don't remember in Guild Wars 2. Wrecking blows too. I'm forgetting wrecking is in there somewhere. So think of these as critical hits. So the bigger your tracking is, the more chance you get crits, the more damage you do, the bigger something is. The point is that you want to do bigger tracking speed, but we don't just use tracking on there. We also have the optimal range. If stuff's just outside of our conflag, 11K, we can activate this and it goes out to 12. Just sometimes that extra 1K is enough that you can do the damage you want to do. That's how to use tracking computers. That's how to use heat sinks. That's how to increase the damage you do with your lasers. Okay. Let's talk about the skills that you're going to need. Let's kind of open this back up to talk about some stuff too, because we're talking about increasing damage here. This is not really understood for lasers because it's kind of confusing. There's a missile section and there's a gunnery section. Remember, I was talking about launchers versus turrets. Energy turrets are actually used in the gunnery section. Let me show you. There are some, of course, energy turret focused skills. Like we were showing a small energy turret, right? Small energy turret, yeah, it's going to increase your damage. I don't need to tell you that. You can read, you understand that. Some of these skills are ship agnostic that sound like they only work with guns, but they work with your energy turret. Motion prediction. Get this to 4 at least. 5% bonus to weapon turret. It's an energy turret tracking speed. This helps your energy turret. Motion prediction. Rapid firing. 4% bonus to rate of fire. We were just talking about this. That's raw damage. Turret helps you with energy turrets. Rapid firing. Get that. Sharpshooter. Big one. 5% bonus to weapon optimal range. If they're outside of your range, you can't hit them. Some of you were saying, my Crimson Harvest Courser can't hit as far as yours, Loru, because your sharpshooter skill is not to 4 and 5. Get it to at least 3. You can get these within a couple days. Sharpshooter's a big one. Let me scroll down and see if I can find another one. This one's hidden. Surgical strike. Okay, 3% bonus to damage of all weapon turrets. The best part of this video, if you're watching this, these skills apply to all weapon turrets, not missile launchers, turrets, not drones, your weapon turrets, railguns, autocannons, lasers, all of those take the damage with surgical strike. Here is one of the last ones, trajectory analysis. 5% bonus to weapon turret accuracy fall off. If they leave your optimal range, you'll still hit them sometimes with this skill. Those skills, rewind it, memorize it, put it in, put buy orders in to see if you can get them going and call it a day. Okay. The other ones on the left side here. Oh, there's one more that's kind of hidden. Controlled burst. 5% reduction in capacitor need for weapon turrets. Get that one first if you're gonna get lasers, because we were just talking about how they have a heavy capacitor need. Get capacitor need of weapon turrets up to at least 3 and 4, just so you can get it done. And I think I see one more. Gunnery, 2% bonus to turrets rate of fire. What I'm trying to tell you, chat, if you see a skill in the gunnery section that is not bound to like a weapon, like large precursor weapon doesn't help your energy turret, even though it sounds like it should, because it's still a laser. It's not a laser. The naming is specific. If you see a skill that is not bound to one thing, it'll help you out. Go train those skills up. Go get those skills. So glad to have Gunnery 5, aren't we all? Doing most damage, all the big damage, having a good time with it. So one of the final things I want to help you understand is how to do big damage and how to avoid big damage with your laser ships. So all gun turrets deal with tracking speed. We've been talking about it, okay? We've been talking about this. Let me get to a darker section so I can show you this. Let's say you have a big ship here and it's doing big damage and you're in your little courser. It's doing big damage to you. You want to orbit that ship. Why? You want to orbit that ship because its guns are going to have a harder time tracking you as you orbit, and they might miss you and they might glance and they will do less damage to you. Notice I said this is a big ship and you're in your courser. If the ship is bigger than you probably want to orbit it. There's some stipulations, but you probably want to orbit it because you have lighter tank and your tracking is better than the bigger ship. Small ship has bigger tracking than big ship, okay? If you want to do a bunch of damage to it, you see us talking about this in the Abyss. If you decide, you know what, I want to push this, you start keeping that ship at range. You reduce what's called the transversal velocity. That is over a course of an angle. Think of it like this. Okay, it's a right angle. If you're perpendicular to something, if you're parallel to something, there's no transversal velocity and you will do more damage. If you are moving at an angle from something, this is not even, there's a lot of transversal velocity, you will do less damage. It sounds complicated. Let me decomplicate it for you. The more you're heading straight to a ship, the more damage you'll do to them in a laser ship, the more damage they will do to you. So you better be ready to take a bunch of damage. If you're against a bigger ship, consider not keeping at range, consider orbiting instead. But if you're against a smaller ship, if you're up against, I don't know, another destroyer, consider heading straight for him, her, I don't know, and overheating your guns and calling it a day. This is something I think you have to do, chat. Go check out our Abyss playlist. We're going to feature one of them right here. We don't have a laser Abyss playlist yet, but we're going to have one very, very soon. And it's going to show you how to fly these ships. And I recommend you go into T0 Abyss with a Punisher, with a very cheap laser ship, to figure out how to do this kind of stuff. This will make you a better Capsuleer, and the stuff you do in a base level Abyss will help you to go out into New Eden and PvP to your heart's content. So check out those playlists. Check out our masterclass right here as well, if you're new especially. It has all the goodies for you, all the goodies for all the weapon types, all the things right here, and sub right here. The best. Hey guys, we'll see you in the next video. Chat, I'm going to keep giving you this value. We're going to keep providing stuff, and I'm going to keep making the guides I wish were around when I started out. We'll see you in the next video.